Hi, my name is TJ. My dad died of overdose on January 1st, 2011, and my mom is a recovering addict. God helped my mom, and now together we are here to help you. Now let's talk recovery. Here's your host, my mom, Susan Sexton-Wood.
Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Recovery. I am your host, Susan Sexton-Wood. Today, our special guest is Shawn Strunk. Shawn's going to share his testimony with us and his life in both addiction and recovery, and the hope that he has for others also in recovery. Our co-host today is Dean Wood, my husband. And today we also have another special guest, and that's Erica Tedder, and she is going to take time and sing for us, and the song is The Rose of Bethlehem.
There's a rose in Bethlehem with a beauty quite divine, perfect in this world of sin, on this silent holy night. There's a fragrance much like hope that it sends upon the wind, reaching out to every soul from a lowly manger's crib. Oh, Rose of Bethlehem, how lovely, pure and sweet, born to glorify the Father, born to wear the thorns for me. There's a rose in Bethlehem, colored red like mercy's blood. 'Tis the flower of our faith, 'tis the blossom of God's love. Though its bloom is fresh with youth, surely what will be he knows, for a tear of morning dew is rolling down the rose. Oh, Rose of Bethlehem, how lovely, pure and sweet, born to glorify the Father, born to wear the thorns for me. There's a rose in Bethlehem with a beauty quite divine, perfect in this world of sin, on this silent holy night. Oh, Rose of Bethlehem, how lovely, pure and sweet, born to glorify the Father, born to wear the thorns for me.
Thank you, Erica, for taking the time to come sing and minister to us. I know that listening to music is a big part of my recovery. If I feel down or discouraged, I know that a song can definitely lift my spirits. Again, we want to thank Shawn and Dean for both being here on the show. At this time, I'm going to ask Shawn to share his testimony and kind of, where was your life in addiction, and just the things that you felt, and what really brought you out of that addiction, and what was the time and point in your life where you just want it to change?
Wow. Well, let's see. I have 30 plus years of drugging and abusing alcohol. I mean, I just loved it too much. I mean, the taste of alcohol, once I got it in me, I mean, it was over. It was, But, I mean, I started when I was 14, and, it always progresses. You start with marijuana, and you move your way up, and, I swore up and down that I'd never, I'm not gonna do that, and the next thing you know, I'm doing that. I'm doing coke, I'm doing heroin, I'm smoking crack, I'm drinking whiskey, and, you name it, I was doing it. I mean, there's nothing out there that I probably haven't never done, so. But I through my addiction, I didn't really think I had a problem. I mean, almost all of us, us addicts, we don't think we have a problem. It's everybody else that has the problem, not me. So, but I mean, it came to the point, people always told me that I did have a problem, but I didn't listen. And I said, well, I can quit anytime I wanted to, which, that's not true.
Right.
You can't help me. You can't stop, especially when you love it as much as I did. I just liked being high because I didn't feel nothing. I didn't care about nothing. I didn't care about nobody but myself, really. And, and I didn't realize none of this stuff until I got into recovery, that, actually that, I was hurting people besides myself. I figured it was just me that I was hurting. Who cared about, everybody else? It's just, but just one weekend, I make this real quick though, but I mean, one weekend I was smoking crack and, drinking, and I got really so high to where I just got to the point where, I mean, and I've lost a good job. I was welding, making $19 an hour. I mean, and then I lost that job. I lost another one 3 months later because I would just rather stay high and don't forget going to work. And, and I was getting to, I mean, my wife was gone, what we had, and she's done, we were separated, and I didn't have anything. I lost my house. Then, I've lost my license almost half my life. I got 60 UIs, 3 here and 3 in Texas. And, and I'm an habitual traffic offender. So, and I still don't have a license to this day. And, riding around on a scooter. But this one weekend that I was doing all this, and, all these thoughts were going through my head, I just lost everything. And so I wanted to give up. I was going to take my own life. And I had the knife in my hand and up to my throat, ready to do it, until this one thought came in my head that, what are you going to do to your kids that if they come in and see their dad dead in full blood? That's what, that hit me. And then I just curled up in a fetal position and just said, please, God, help me. And then the next day, my mom comes in, and, we talked, and she calls a couple of her friends, which is Gary and Wanda, and they came over and prayed for me and prayed with me, and that next day I was in recovery. And I mean, it was about, grace of God. I mean, I thank him every day for the things that, I look back at my life all the stuff that I've done that I could have died from. There's been millions of times I probably could have died, but he had his hand in there, and he pulled me. He kept me alive for a reason, and I believe that totally with all my heart, that I'm here for a reason.
Do you see a little bit of what that reason is?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the saying, you're gonna reap what you sow. Well, today I am reaping what I sowed. So I mean, today I'm taking care of 3 grandkids, now, and me and my wife are back together. We've been back together for over a year now. We got another house. I mean, everything's starting to lift back up. Everything that I lost. I mean, even granted, there was all material stuff besides my wife and kids and stuff, but it's all coming back. Little by little, things are coming back, and and it's all because of Jesus Christ.
And we enjoy it more when we have to work so hard to get it back too, don't we?
I mean, yes. I mean, if I would have never done any of this stuff, the things that I would have, and I enjoyed the things that, in life, and, but there's a reason behind all this. And I believe that I had to go through all that, and I had to be completely tore down, broken, before he finally says, okay, now take my hand. And, and I did.
Well, and I think that it's definitely us, like, to call out to him and actually reach out our hand to almost grab his in a way.
Definitely.
We, in addiction, we put ourselves through so much, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it really doesn't make sense why we want to feel the discouragement and live in that darkness, and we just, it's just sad. It's sad. It's depressing. It's a very dark world, both in the world with addiction, but up in our minds too. The torture that we put ourselves through. I know that I met you toward the end of your addiction. And I know that your mom is one of your biggest fans, and she definitely always was there for you, but she didn't enable, and she tried to motivate you, and she was the person that actually led you to the help that you received.
Yeah, even though, she knew the things that I was doing. She just didn't like it, but, and I con her. I mean, we're all big cons, and I con her out of money. I mean, she may not have thought that she wasn't enabling me, but she was. But she came to you and went through some classes and learned the things and the signs and stuff. So, and I'm glad she did. I really am, because, with what she's learned, and what I've learned, we're together to this day, and we help each other still. I mean, she helps me, I help her to understand, because there's stuff that's out there on the streets that she doesn't know about.
Yeah.
And, and I do. And, so I mean, without her, I mean, she's like a guardian angel to me. Her and my grandmother, and without their prayers and stuff, and because, I mean, God answered them for her and, my grandmother, but, I wish she was here today to see it. It would have been awesome.
I know people, and I worked with a lot of people, whether it's family or people in addiction today, and you've kind of just said it, like, your mom helped you, and you may have been aggravated at the time when she started learning about it, and maybe wasn't giving you money or wasn't giving in to what you wanted, but you thank her today, and you're glad, and that shows, recovery. That shows growth in recovery, because we do get mad at our loved ones because they want what's best for us, but being in the drunken or under the influence of drugs, being in that state of mind, we just think everybody's out to get us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I never thought I was the bad guy, because I was always trying to please everybody. I like to, try to do that, but I thought I think that I was one of the best cons there ever was, because I've conned so many people out of money, it ain't funny.
Today you're not proud of that, though,
Oh
are you?
no. And I'm working on that 8th step.
Mm-hmm.
Making my amends, and it's slowly but surely. It's kind of hard to do that. That's one step that's really hard for me. I mean, I've done one. A friend of mine that I lost him through my addiction, and I've known him since I was a kid, and he just quit hanging out with me because I didn't know it was me.
Yeah.
I thought it was just him. So, but I've made amends to him face to face, and it actually came out pretty good, because you're always scared of what's going to happen. Even though that you might hurt their feelings. I was scared of that. I was really fearful of it.
Well, and I think rejection, like once I got the help and I started getting better, and then once we go and say we're sorry to someone, and if they don't accept it, I mean, that's discouraging.
Well, I mean, because now I feel. Today, I feel everything.
Right.
Back then, I didn't feel nothing because I didn't care. So I mean, but yeah, it's really, to me, it's a little scary still. I mean, and I prayed to God, take the fear away from me, because I had a fear of talking in front of people.
Yeah.
And that's
You've
when
done that
and
quite
I
often,
know,
though, now.
but I mean, I come to you, and now that first time I stepped up there, I mean, I was scared to death, but I still, I did it. But the more I did it, the better off I got, and the easier it got. So, and that's just with anything, in recovery. The more you keep doing it, and you repeatedly keep working at it, because if you don't work it, it's not going to work.
Right.
So you keep working at it, and you keep doing it, it's just going to come naturally, and you're going to make it an everyday thing. And it has to be an everyday thing.
It definitely, and sometimes a minute by minute thing, especially at the beginning of recovery. Dean, just listening to him talk about manipulating and, kind of getting over on people, when you think about that in your own life, does that remind you of your addiction also?
Absolutely. I think everybody in addiction at one point in time has done some kind of manipulation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because we had to feed a habit. I've always, I've conned my mom. I've even, stole from my family. So I could actually feed my habit, because it was all, just like he said, it was all about what I wanted. It wasn't about nobody else but me. And, never realized how many people I hurt in my addiction, because my addiction is my addiction. It wasn't yours or nobody else's, and that's the wrong state of mind that I was in, because I was in a black cloud. The thing with that is I'm in a dark, dark place, and I wasn't thinking properly, so I needed some kind of release, because I was stressing out about a lot of things in my life, and all boo-hoo me, and so I went to addiction. I started using drugs and started drinking more and more so I can deal with those problems, but I never dealt with those problems. Those problems always existed. I just suppressed them in my mind, and then when I was sober, instead of fixing problems, it just made the problems worse, because I lost friends, I've lost relationships over it, and I've lost the trust and respect of my family because of my addiction. I've even lost my freedom over my addiction, and it does take us in a really dark world, and we don't really care about nobody but ourselves, and I hate that. I do. I hate the addiction. I love the people, because everybody can change, because there's hope for anybody and everybody. I just hate the addiction. The addiction ruins a lot of people's lives, and it does grab us. We don't really intend on becoming addicted to it when we actually tried it. Right. We just wanted to try it just to see what it made us feel like.
Well, and that goes back to Shawn saying that we don't think we have a problem.
Exactly. I've always said that. I don't have a problem. I was even in substance abuse program way back in the day. You used to have one here at the state hospital, and I think it was called the Halfway House or something. I can't remember, but I did everything I could to convince them I didn't have a problem.
We work harder in
you
addiction
know.
than we do sometimes out of it.
Yeah, it was an in treatment program, or you can be an outpatient program, one or the other. And I did everything I could to convince them I didn't have a problem, so I could leave, so I can go get high or get drunk and do my thing, because now they were hindering my life, and
Right.
I did what I had to do to get away from that hindrance. You know, but I didn't think of it that way. Now, since my my Christianity and my new recovery, my hindrance is different. Anything that's bad and negative in my life, I've separated. Then I welcomed all the negativity, because that kept me in my addiction. All the drama, all the negativity in my life, and I wanted it. I fed on it. That's why I stayed in addiction for so long. But
Well, Shawn, you talked about, that moment when you wanted to take your own life, and that led to you going into treatment. Tell us about the program that you went to and things that you started to learn, and then bring it to what you're doing today. What did you learn in the program that you applied to your life today?
Okay, I went to ARC in Indianapolis, and they told me it was a 6-month program. It ended up being a little bit longer than that, which is okay. I mean, because I got in there, and it was different, because you were inside somewhere and you couldn't go nowhere. I mean, the first 30 days you can't go anywhere. No phone calls, no nothing. But you could walk out anytime you wanted to, but you're stuck, But I knew, I agreed that I would go and that I would see it through. And, for the first couple weeks, I just sat back and just kind of watched and listened, didn't talk to nobody. I didn't want nobody to know me. I was like, well, and then you got these people running around, they're acting crazy and stuff, but there's, working the program. I got in there and got in the classes, learning about chemical dependency. You have Bible study. You had to go through so many AA and NA meetings a day or a week, and you had the set schedules, and you worked for them to support that. It got you through your room and board and food. So it's that's what paid for everything, is for you working for them at their stores. And but got in there, and I got to talking to some counselors, and got to know some guys in there, and there's a bunch of guys down there, and I still talk to a few of them today, and then I keep in touch with them. And I got in there. The Bible study was one of my main things, and learning the steps, and then starting to actually work them. I had a hard time at first, getting a sponsor, because I didn't want nobody to know my deep, dark stuff that I kept inside me, and I found the guy that, I could talk to, and I got to know him. And I let loose. I worked it, and I worked it so hard that because I wanted it so bad. I needed that, and that's what I did there. And then what I've learned, all that, and I brought it out here, and it's different out here for me. And it's, they say recovery is pretty easy inside, but once you get outside, that's when recovery really starts.
Right.
And that's not a lie. It's true, because it's really, really hard. For me, it is. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it was difficult. But if I applied what I learned to my, getting up, praying, pray the acceptance prayer, and let God, let Him just follow Him, and stay in the Word. I stay in the Word. I try to, you know, I listen to my music is a big key for me also. And I like bluegrass gospel, and you know, but because a lot of them songs pertain to us addicts and
Yeah.
alcoholics, because you know how the and it's just eases my soul, you know. And but the Word, and I listen to audio Bible, and I try to stay in. And like I said, I talked to a bunch of guys down there. And you know, Adam McDonald was one of my best friends that I talked to him last night. He kind of, me and him talk, and you know, we help each other, and we're still helping each other today. You know, so, and that's what it's all about. You know.
So you've built a support team around you, and when you're going through something, you know like who to call.
Oh,
And,
definitely.
and the steps to take, like it is true when we're in a facility, that gives us the time to be still and to listen to what we're going, like what we're feeling and how to address our feelings. And but out in the real world, you know, that is when the recovery starts, when you get a job, when you're
back
taking
into
care of
it.
family. And it sounds like, you know, God's put your family back together, and now you say you're taking care of grandkids.
Yes.
You know.
And you know, like I said, when you reap what you sow, okay. You know, now I'm feeling everything I put my mom through.
Yeah.
Because of I have a stepson and his wife, and that's why we got their kids, because they're in this addiction. And I've tried and I'm doing my best to help them. And, but you know, you can't help anybody if they don't want to listen and if they don't want to help. So, you know, you sometimes I feel stuck to where, what do I do? Where do I go? You know, and all I can do is just keep praying and hope that God, it's in His hands and He pulls them out, and that they finally see something, you know. And I've helped a couple other people to get in the ARC through Pastor Marty, you know, helping him, you know, talk to the guys down there for him. And so I try to help where I can, and you know, and like I said, I mean, I am reaping what I sow, and it's really hard to do. And I don't know how my mom did it.
Well, and it takes sometimes when it comes to family, you know, we're closer to family. So when somebody needs help, I know I couldn't have gotten help like I did from my family, like I did from other people.
Right.
Because you have that history, you have the resentments that you carry into recovery with you, and that's one thing that you could think about doing with your loved ones in addiction is maybe encouraging them. We're almost out of time, and so I want to thank Shawn and Dean for being here. You know, we learn about recovery in different ways, and there are many, many paths of recovery. And so you've heard Shawn's testimony and what he did for his recovery. If you're struggling and you want to reach out to us, just call the number on the screen, and we would be happy to pray for you, and we definitely will be happy to work with you. So I thank you again for joining us on Let's Talk Recovery.